Hey, welcome back. This is part 7 of our, I don't know what to call it, series on constructive criticism, constructive feedback, excuse me. We're going through a list of 30 different types of feedback and with some appropriate and inappropriate examples. There's appropriate positive and appropriate negative, and an inappropriate negative example. We don't only have examples of inappropriate negative, I mean, inappropriate positive, but you can probably figure that out. Um, so we're gonna look through some of these. What we're looking for is 4 building blocks of great feedback, right? And that's mentioning the pain that the feedback is addressing, the pain that maybe you're causing, the problem, whatever it is, the consequences of the actions that you're taking, the expectations, what was expected, um, and ideas for improvement. Those 4 things make a really, really quality piece of feedback. And so we're going to look at some of these pieces of feedback and try and determine if this was good feedback, if it's not, how many of these 4 do they hit, and what we may be able to do to try and transform some of this feedback from negative or and say inappropriate feedback, bad feedback. Right, the feedback could be negative but still good. Anyways, try and take these crappy pieces of feedback and make them into something that we can use. So today we're looking at feedback about punctuality. Right, and we're going to start with the appropriate positive example. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for always being here on time. It's really beneficial to have you here for these early meetings. Great. So this is good. It mentions the the pain or the problem that's being solved with this feedback, or you're doing well, is you're here on time, right? That's the consequence is that you're here for the early meetings. That's great. There's no real expectations set here besides maybe saying that we expect you to be here on time. But it was good, and there's no ideas to follow up. And just a tip: when you're giving positive feedback, give the positive feedback, and then provide a suggestion of how they could just improve just a little bit on top of it. Right? Like it's awesome they're doing well. Let's just build on that. All right, now let's look at the appropriate negative example. I've noticed that you've been coming into the office late this week. The morning meetings are vitally important, and I'd like to see you at more of them. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to support you and get you through the doors a little earlier. Okay, this is really good. First, the pain. You're late, right? It points it out, the pain, the problem, you're late. Also has the consequence. You're late, so you miss the morning meetings. The morning meetings are vitally important. You're missing them. Boom. Um, right. It also, the last line is kind of a combination of two, the expectation and the ideas. Expectation is we expect you to be here earlier, right? Just be here on time. And then it also says, hey, let me know what I can do. It at least provides that idea of like, let's have this conversation. Let's be on the same team here. Let's be together in trying to fix this problem. This is good. Great feedback hits all 4 points here. All right, let's look at the next one. This is inappropriate negative. Um, your tardiness is unacceptable and it makes everyone look bad. Show up on time or we will have to take disciplinary action. First of all, can't you just hear the emotion in this? Particularly, your tardiness is unacceptable and it makes everyone look bad. Me being late is not making everybody look bad. And what really is probably coming out here is the whoever's providing feedback. It may make them look bad, but it's not necessarily making everybody else look bad, right? There's just real emotion here. And while the your tardiness is unacceptable clearly describes the pain, right? Tardiness. It messes up the consequences. It tries to use these blocks, but it exaggerates the consequences and it makes it kind of a immaterial. If you look at the positive negative or the appropriate negative example, it says you were late, so you missed the meeting, right? That is a like almost tangible thing. I know that there was this tangible consequence if I missed the meeting. Me saying my tardiness makes everybody look bad, that's not a tangible thing. That's uh, maybe subjective at best. And honestly, it's probably exaggeratory and probably a lie, right? It's built out of emotion. And so there's the difference there in calling out those consequences. You want consequences that are direct, understandable, good examples, not just the overarching, the world's on fire because you did this thing wrong. Right. The interesting thing is the appropriate negative example then says show up on time or have to take disciplinary action. So the show up on time is a clear expectation. Um, like that at least is good. Right. But following up with the have to take disciplinary action, honestly, that's kind of an idea, but I want you to contrast the idea found in the negative example and the idea found in the appropriate negative, the inappropriate negative, and inappropriate and appropriate negative. That's hard for me to keep track of. Contrast those two ideas, right? In one of them, they say, is there anything I can do to help? Right? That's the appropriate one. Is there anything I can do to help get you here? In the inappropriate negative, it is, if you don't do this, we will then do X, right? One is we're on the same team. The other is we're against each other. At the end of the day, when you're thinking about feedback, think about this. Am I on the same team or am I against each other? Are we moving as one, or are we combative? Are we competing? And as you read your feedback you're giving to people, if you identify that it's combative, you could probably reframe it, change it, try and find ways to be on their team and help move them forward, as opposed to being a competitor with them, or in conflict with them. Great. So there's some great things we learned about here. Again, really good example of pain, consequence, expectation, and ideas. The interesting thing to me about punctuality is a lot of times you need to really stress the expectation. What is expected? Is on time expected? Is 5 minutes early expected? Whatever it may be. And it's a good example of where expectations need to be very, very clear. And the clearer they are, the easier it is to give feedback. And I've mentioned before, in fact, the last video, I think if you watch it, like one of the things you want to do is correct quickly. So this, notice I've been late coming, you've been late coming to the office this week. That is the best time to correct this, right? Is a day or two of coming in late. You don't want to overreact. People have bad days. It happens. When you've seen this pattern established for a week, that's when you correct it. You don't let it go on for a month. You don't let it go on for 2 months. You correct it immediately, providing that feedback. Now, flipping this around really quick, what happens if I had gotten this feedback, and how can I build on it? Well, the pain is pretty clear. What I may want to do is try and understand the consequences a little better, right? Why is it making everybody look bad? Who's it making look bad? What's actually happening here? Understand the expectations. Really try and understand what do I need to be here. Show up on time is pretty clear, but let's just get it clear. And then here's the thing: if I get feedback that is conflicting, that is um, uh, I'm trying to think of another good word for it, but we're not on the same team. I can take the initiative to try and bring us back to the same team. If I then, even though my natural reaction may be to fight, if I can try and get on the same team as my manager, or the customer that's upset, or the client that's upset, or whoever it is, if I get on their team, it can get things moving in the right direction much more positively and much more efficiently. Great. This is part 7 on our constructive feedback segment. We'll be doing part 8 here in just a second. Please join us, and click the link in the description to see more. And if you haven't seen parts 1 through 6, please check them out. They're interesting. We identify these 4 different areas. We look through them in a bunch of different places. We find some examples of really horrible feedback and how you can use that feedback to get better. Thank you for joining us.